All right, like last week, students, we need to drill these skills into our brain. If we could get a drill and make a hole, open it up, pour these skills in, glug, 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 and put our head back on, put the lid back on, that's what we want to try and do. But you know what? This drill way probably hurts a bit, okay? So there's another way. We practice. That one can hurt too. But the more practice you do, the more the skills will stick, okay? I've tried another way. I grabbed a piece of paper with all the skills and I stuck, what's past tense of sticky tape? I stucky taped it. I stucky taped it to my head for a week, these skills, right? And I walked around the house, I walked around school with the Scribble ink skills stuck to my head. And people thought, what's he got a piece of paper on his head? And I said, I'm just learning my Scribble ink skills. But you know what? After a week, they didn't go in. So I've realized I can't cut my head open and pour them in. I can't stucky tape my skills onto my head and walk around. They won't go in that way either. I'm only left with practice. So that's why you're here. Your parents understand they're not going to stucky tape it, right? We're practicing. So the next point, I had a student say to me this week, Mr. C, can I do more practice? Yes, absolutely you can do more practice. So what we do today, go home and do some more. Please, that would be awesome. Because what it will do, it will make you awesomer quicker, right? That's what we want, to make you awesome as quickly as possible. We want to see your books in the shelves at the libraries and on the bookshelves, in the bookstores. We want to see your writing there. That would be awesome. In fact, maybe what we should do some good paragraphs and just go stick them in your school library and see if the librarians notice or not. Just say, yeah, I wrote that, I'm an author now. Maybe you could try that. Who thinks their library would let them stick up their writing? That would be interesting. All right, biggies. Choose, you've got to get further than last week, okay? You're trying to get speed and quality. Us here, we're looking at quality, okay? So, we're going character paragraph again, my friends here. So, this is what we've got. I'm pulling out the story from last term or last year where there's a child who's been bullied, right? His name's Todd, most likely a boy, and he's discovered something magical in the library, right? Remember, I'd said it last year, there's a set of books on the earth, volcanoes, earthquakes, cyclones, that sort of thing. So when he reaches up to take the earthquake book and slowly pulls it off the shelf, the ground beneath him begins to tremble. He pulls it out further. The shelves start shaking. And he quickly pushes the book back and it stops. Then he pulls out the book on volcanoes. And his feet start heating up because the ground is getting hot. Pulls it out further. The shelves start steaming and sizzling and the paint starts blistering. And he pushes it back and it stops. And the idea is he sees the book and he thinks, revenge on the bullies. And he starts pulling that book out. We don't know which book because you're the author and you haven't made that story yet. So we're going to do the character paragraph following our professional Scribble ink style with the quadruple verb, triple descriptor, M dash descriptor, four memories, AN, he, she, technique. I've started us off, and with our leaders, we're going to get through as much as we can. We may not finish it all because we've got a bunch of skills that we always do during our Scribble ink 1 hour, and it goes quick. The fastest hour in my life is a Scribble ink hour. I don't know why that is. It's like there's a time bends at Scribble ink, and it goes really quick. So, standing in the quiet confines of the shelving. So he's standing amongst the shelving, this Todd. Okay? Remember, a short story, it starts at the action. We don't want him waking up in the house, going downstairs, having breakfast and all that. We start right at the action in our stories. He looked like come up with something with our leaders. Deep inside, anxiety arose. And all sounds. So what sounds are in the library that might stop? Is it the ticking of a clock? Is it the photocopy cha-chinking? Is it the muttering of staff over there? There's no kids in the library at this point in time, by the way. Memories of the previous week flash by. We want some memories about the bullying, okay? And then a tender lad, tired of the bullying, what did he do? Okay, or what's he hoping for? What's he wanting? So leaders, we're going to cut here. People at home can stop, pause, and we'll be back with your answers. We'll be back with ours. Let's go. We are going to get faster and faster as we keep practicing, and the creative juices flow through our brains and these ideas come quicker. At Scribbling, it's about perfect practice. We take our time to make sure we're doing it right, okay? I always say to students, get half of it done properly than all of it done sloppily, okay? It makes a big difference. It's the quality, because we know the punctuation, the way things are set out are crucial to having outstanding writing. If you don't pay attention to the small details, it's a train wreck, okay? So great job on taking your time to get it right. I'm quickly going to say what I had for the video, and there's thousands of answers, okay? So standing in the quiet confines of the shelving, Todd looked up at the books, reached for the volcano title, and slowly dragged it off the shelf. He looked like a boy under stress with his trembling feet, quivering hands, and darting eyes looking out for trouble. Deep inside, anxiety arose, and all sounds, the ticking of the clock, the music on the radio, stopped as the ground heated up. Ooh. Memories of the previous week flashed by, the shoving, the hitting, the teasing. A tender lad, tired of the bullying, he desperately wanted to put an end to it all. Okay, that makes an awesome paragraph for your character. It could start a story, but please don't attempt it at school until we've mastered it, okay? You could have a go at home, but honestly, if you try it at school and it doesn't work out properly, it's a train wreck. Let's go to our small words. Open up your books. I know, it's fun doing that character paragraph. Here's what we've got today. She had always thought she must be somebody's baby, but the prophecy told otherwise. Because of the crimson birthmark on her wrist, she was always going to be targeted by her enemies. This is a quick one today, guys. It won't take us that long. There's not that many small words, but it does say we want a verb start. The verb was already in there, thought. So I changed it to thinking she must belong to parents. Now, here's what the trap is. Remember the verb trap? Who remembers the verb trap? Huh?
Name.
Whoever or whatever did this verb. The trap here is thinking she must belong to parents, the prophecy told otherwise. No, the prophecy wasn't thinking about parents. Okay, so thinking she must belong to parents, she knew the prophecy told otherwise. Something like that. So we need the character coming next. Okay? And then simply, something about the birthmark on her, she was always going to be targeted. So because of the crimson birthmark on her wrist, I'll give you a clue, her enemies might come next, rather than she was always going to be. 3 minutes, let's go. Shouldn't take us long. Rock and roll. All right, guys, I've just quickly shot up one possible solution. Thinking she must belong to parents, she ignored the prophecy that told otherwise. Because of the crimson birthmark on her wrist, she remained a target for her enemies. I need to make sure we're understanding something with the small words. In real life, we want to reduce the number of small words, typically about 80% of them. We don't want to remove them all in our schoolwork, okay? It can get a little bit messy, train wrecky if we remove them all. But student work is filled with them unnecessarily. So our job is to reduce them in our schoolwork, okay, where possible. Again, we need to master this technique, otherwise we can spoil our writing. That's why we're here practicing, practicing, practicing. You wouldn't go out on stage in front of 10,000 people to play violin if you've only been learning for a week or two, okay? When you've mastered the violin is when you go out on stage. Our goal here at Scribble Inc. is you're going to be awesome author writers by the time you hit grade 11 and 12. We know it's going to happen a lot quicker for a lot of you, but that's our goal. By then, you are awesome writers, because you know what? That's when it's all going to count for your results. And we want you to have stellar results when you finish grade 12. Attempting stuff right now, I like the idea that you want to be adventurous and have a go, but just be aware, if we don't master it, it can be a wreck. So if a teacher has said, this doesn't even make sense, please understand, we probably agree, but when you master it, it's going to be awesome. Okay, so reduce, not completely remove. That's the rule for small words. All right, let's move on to our sentence for today. Professional sentence, the M-descriptor. All right, here we go. It's about a girl trekking through the bush. She stepped through the bush and all sounds. This is an easy one. There are lots of sounds in the bush. Now, what I want to point out, all sounds, what? Ceased, all sounds diminished, all sounds stopped. Why? This is the key today. The sounds will be easy. I want you to come up with a great reason why the sounds stopped. Build up the tension, okay? Don't say, she stepped through the bush and all sounds, the chirping of the birds, the trickling of the creek, stopped because it was quiet. That doesn't make sense. We need a reason. See, to her, she can't hear the sounds because something dramatic is occurring. It's like she can't hear the sounds. Of course, in real life, the sounds are still there, but we're making it have impact, saying she can't hear the sounds because, so we want all sounds ceased and then a good reason why. Okay, let's go. Hopefully, you built up the drama and the tension. Okay, so why would these sounds stop? This is what Mr. C picked. I heard someone, I think it was Brandon, I heard an animal and I thought, oh, that sparked a good idea. She stepped through the bush and all sounds, the trickling of the brook, another name for creek, the squawking of the minor birds, ceased as 2 pinpricks of blood seeped from a pair of puncture wounds on her ankle.
I didn't get that.
That's good.
On her ankle. So in other words, 2 little dots are now bleeding on her ankle. Why? Could have been what? A tiny leprechaun with fangs just grabbed her and bite your ankle.
Yes.
Could be that. Could be a rabid leprechaun with fangs. Could be a snake. Or could be an 8-legged creature, which is the spider. Could be a spider what bit her on the ankle and she's bleeding. So that's what we need. We need the tension because, I want to point this out, the sounds have stopped. So something has happened to make it go, and then the sound, she can't hear anything because she's so in shock, okay? I know you had a great answer. I know you had a great answer. And that's time. Not for us, we're going back to our books.
Wait, I've got an idea.